So I think it's going to be an amazing fight weekend, considering there is no UFC. That is the bad news. The good news is that you have Charlo taking on Canelo for the undisputed 168-pound championship of boxing. So what is significant about this fight? Of course, I'm going to go into the kicks and punches, but I'm also going to go into the racial elements that deal with this fight. Ooh, oh my goodness, he said the R word. Does that really have something to do with this fight? Well, not so much with the competitors, but maybe so much with the fan bases that are involved in this particular camp and the supporters of, let's say, Charlo and Canelo. Well, for one, a couple of things I want to break down about the kicks and punches first, because obviously to make this channel a legit channel, I have to talk about the combat aspects of the sport in order for you to understand that I know what I'm talking about. So the way that I see these two athletes, they are both very well-rounded boxers. And what do I mean by that? Because the MMA guys are watching this right now thinking to themselves, what exactly do you mean by well-rounded when you're dealing with a sport that only deals with two hands and punching and then that's it? Well, there's a lot more to it than that. Because, yes, in the aspect of MMA, a freestyle type of fighting where anything goes and different techniques are allowed in different disciplines, okay, you can understand that it's a lot more than that when you're just dealing with just punching. Because what kind of punching are you going to do? How are you going to place those punches? Where are you going to place those punches? And at what particular time are you going to do so? This is what makes boxing unique in terms of, quote unquote, the punching prowess, as opposed to, let's say, when you do it in Taekwondo, kickboxing, Muay Thai, or MMA. Okay, so a couple of things that I had noticed with these two guys, as well-rounded as they both are very good at throwing hooks and powerful jabs when it comes to moving forward and being able to fight backwards, especially with the likes of Charlo. Okay, he knows how to fight backwards, knows how to fight when he gets pushed up against the ropes, and I think that's going to be very interesting to see how he's going to deal with that when Canelo tries to push him up against the corner, in which something that he's very good at. Canelo is quite good at doing that, and Charlo is also quite good at hitting you with counter shots when he's backed up against the ropes. So please, write on the comments on the section below what you think, if you think there's anything that is opposing to that particular idea that I had just brought up to you. Now, how about the jabs that these two guys have? Obviously, they both have very proficient jabs, and by the way, this is the reason why both of these guys are undisputed, because it's not done by accident. They know how to fight in every corner of the ropes, in every corner of the ring, and also knows how to throw shots within mid-range. Because I can tell you, a lot of guys know how to fight outside of the range, especially if you're an outside fighter, you're an elusive fighter, and that's how you like to work. And then there's a lot of guys that also know how to fight in the inside. Obviously, traditionally, this has been known as, quote-unquote, in boxing, the Mexican style, where you go up really close to somebody and you have your hands up like this, and then you throw bombs with hooks either to the body, into the head, or the combination of both. Canelo is also very good at that. Once again, this is why they're both very well-rounded boxers, because they can do a little bit of everything when it comes to mid-range, when it comes to further range, when it comes to, let's say, very close quarter combat range. They know how to fight in all these angles, which is what makes this fight very interesting. So if you want an official prediction for this particular fight, stay tuned, because I'm going to continue on, but I want to continue on in the particular with the racial elements that deals with this fight. Okay, so for example, a lot of people always criticized Canelo Alvarez for not fighting slick black American fighters, even though you could say he fought the likes of Mayweather, Austin Trout, the list goes on. You could say that he fought this guy or that guy, but when they're talking about that, they're talking about the new generation of African American fighters that have a very slick fighting style, that knows how to fight very elusive and very explosive, but also knows how to fight in a very counteractive type of way, meaning that they know how to counter you with shots when you're trying to, let's say, swing in mid-range, which, by the way, is a very important aspect of this fight. One of the things that you got to understand is the mid-range that deals with this fight. But moving on with the racial elements of the fight, I'm going to go back to the punches and the technical aspects of the fight as well. So this is what is going on in the boxing community at this current moment of time. This is one of the criticisms that they give to Canelo. Now, let's say if Canelo was to fight, let's say, a white British boxer with the likes of Billy Joe Saunders or John Ryder. Guess what? A lot of people in the U.S. side, especially in the African-American boxing community, are going to go side with Canelo because of the fact that he is in close proximity to those that are part of the urban culture, as, let's say, opposed to somebody like John Ryder or Billy Joe Saunders that comes from a working class white background of the UK. So this is important to know, to kind of understand the racial elements that goes into this fight. You also have to understand, yes, Canelo is a Spanish-speaking fighter. He is somewhat considered Latino and Hispanic, but the man is a ginger redhead, and many people in the Celtic Isles of the world love to claim him, as they should, because he is part of that particular heritage, ethnic background. And not only that, he fits the bill when it comes to, let's say, how people look at as, quote-unquote, the great white hope of people that they want to see rise to the top in a sport where, let's say, in mixed martial arts, constantly being dominated by Muslim fighters, right? So you have the likes of Sean Strickland coming into the mix and beating the likes of Israel Adesanya, who's an absolute legend. And then you have Sean O'Malley. Yes, somebody who is influenced by the urban culture, but make no bones about it, people look at Sean O'Malley as part of the, certain part of a group of people that, let's say, a lot of Bostonians and people of Irish descent would go out and support. So there's this term that they got going on, WB Summer, right? I'm not going to say the name because obviously there's racial components to it, and you know how YouTube gets with that. But nonetheless, yes, they say that that's what it is. It's a WB Summer, right? Because they're all winning. Sean Strickland, Canelo, Tyson Fury, this and that, Great White Hope, all this and that. That's the reality of what's going on in the current landscape of fighting right now, right? So they look at Canelo as somebody that is a symbol of that, especially in the urban community. So you got somebody like Charlo, somebody who's brash, somebody who comes from Texas, somebody who has this, once again, the traditional slick fighting African-American boxing style taking on Canelo. So it is no wonder there are racial elements to this. And if you don't believe me, go look at the LBDC, whatever you call it, community of the boxing channels. Guys like, I don't want to mention any names because I don't want to give anyone clout, nor do I want to diss anyone in that particular field of, let's say, combat sports media. But let's just say that there's a certain inherent bias with certain YouTubers on the boxing world, and in particular, the ones that are in America. Okay, and you can guess who are the type of people that they support. Usually PBC guys like Errol Spence, guys like the Charlos, guys like Adrian Broner, guys like Gervonta Davis, and especially guys like Floyd Mayweather. And you look at their past opponents and the type of, let's say, promotion that they've had with these fights, those names that I just mentioned, guess what's added to that? A whole lot of racial elements that deals with Latino versus Black American fighter, or let's say the dynamic of Canelo being, quote unquote, the great white hope, or white adjacent to those fans that, let's say, want to see a black champion fall. That's kind of what you have going on with this particular fight with Canelo and Charlo that maybe a lot of the other guys are not talking about, or maybe they are talking about it because they do lean in that particular political direction and that particular ethos and ways of thinking. But I'm explaining it to you from an outsider's point of view of somebody that really doesn't have one particular guy to support over the other when it comes to Charlo and Canelo. So moving on with the kicks and the punches and the technical aspects of this fight, I honestly think that there is a great chance that Charlo can win this fight. Why? Well, because of these same things that I had just mentioned. He is an absolutely equal to Canelo Alvarez, and this could not be an even bigger 50-50 fight. The only difference is that Canelo, I will say, is the more powerful fighter of the two, based on the fact that he's knocked out guys in heavier weight classes as an indication of exactly how this fight is going to go. So what exactly does all that mean? Well, that means that in order for Charlo to win, he has to be able to fight Canelo in a very slick technical manner that I had just mentioned. So with that in mind, I don't see this fight ending other than a unanimous decision or a very close split decision or even a draw. That's how even these guys are. I don't see Charlo getting knocked out by Canelo, and I don't see Canelo knocking out Charlo based on the fact that these two guys have good chins. Not only that, they both have very good defense, and it's going to take this fight a very long way. So don't ever expect this fight to end very early in the same way that you saw the Caleb Plant fight. Two totally different animals, and on top of that, two totally different types of fighters. And the magnitude of this fight, I think, is going to create even more cautious in the way that they throw caution to the wind, as they say. So my official prediction, it's going to end in a decision, but towards who? I can't really say either one or the other, because if you want me to say either one or the other, I'm going to say Canelo. Based on the fact that, well, he has all the judges on his side, but then again, he has lost decision fights before with the likes of Bivol and none other than Floyd Mayweather, who is the ultimate ace side of that fight. But Canelo is the ace side of this fight. Charlo is a B side that could possibly be the next Bivol to do what he did to Canelo, but we never know. However, what we do know is these guys are very evenly matched, and it's going to the scorecards. But also, let's not forget the underbelly and the, how do I say this, behind the closet type of conversations that are going on about the fight, I think is something that you have to understand, which is what? The racial element of it. Now, is the racial element of fighting always a popular thing? Yes, I already know a lot of people that are going to write on the comment section, if there's enough people that are going to watch this, say something to the effect of, well, you know what? It shouldn't be about race. It shouldn't be about that. Why do you bring up race or this and that? Because guess what? If I didn't bring it up, it wouldn't bring any views. Nobody would care. And not only that, the video wouldn't be as exciting, because guess what? I would not stand out in front of all these other channels that just do nothing but talk about the punches of these fights. I'm giving you an actual storyline that I think is very important to understand. Now, do I hold those views? Absolutely not. Because I've been in the gyms, I've trained with boxers, I've trained with MMA guys, I've trained with everybody, I've trained in all different styles. I'm a martial artist, I know that race doesn't matter. But for all you casuals and all you people out there that, let's say, don't really know anything about fighting other than the fact that you're just going to support the guy that looks like you, this is one of the things that's going to attract you to this video. Now, with that in mind, shout outs to all the hardcore fans that are watching this, because guess what? You understand the game. You understand the punches, the technical aspects of the sport, but you also understand the dynamics of what gets paid in the sport and what people want to see. And unfortunately, or fortunately, in any direction that you want to take it, this is the reality of the fight game. Either way, enjoy the fights. No UFC, but guess what? We got Canelo and Charlo to concentrate on, so we don't got to worry about all the other fights. Shout outs to UFC for taking a week off and letting Canelo and Charlo shine on their week. And don't forget to like and subscribe so I can drop more content just like this. Enjoy.